It's my intermediate. All right, it's my intermediate review of Assassin's Creed. Now, haven't played it. I think I'm like 15 hours in or so. That's why I call it intermediate. I haven't finished the game yet, but I feel like I could review what's been going on and little portions of it right now. So first, let's get the elephant out the room, bro. This whole thing with Yasuke and Yasusuke, however you pronounce his name, I think it's a little BS and disingenuous on a couple people's parts. Right, I'm gonna say in reference to American and European countries, I think it's disingenuous. Well, like, what stake do we have in the game to be upset? Why are we upset? Why is there an outrage? I think there's an underlining tone of prejudice that's going on, obviously, and that's just my opinion, and that's how I feel. In relevance to the Japanese culture, I understand why Japanese people would take this as insult to their culture. Right, that's like I'm Jamaican, right? So that's like remember that dude that sings Informer, the white Canadian dude? If they used him to explain or to start off Jamaican culture or Jamaican reggae, be like, oh, this is the dude we're gonna base this whole documentary off of. Snow Informer, and either way, I would feel away. I completely understand the uproar. I completely understand what's going on, but I still feel that everyone is being disingenuous about it, and there's a bit of prejudiceness behind it. It's not, would you have been more acceptant of the game's lack of historical accuracy if you didn't utilize the minority of your history? You know what I mean? Would you have been more acceptant? In my opinion, Nawe is more of a red flag, or I would have thought it was more of a red flag, due to the fact that there's even less of her than there is Yasuke in history. Yasuke is actually a part of Japanese history. Whether they like it or not, he was written into Japanese history. And you can't fight that. It's part of your history. A minor part of your history, I wouldn't have used him in an Assassin's Creed game, but nonetheless he is. Right? The whole beef about whether or not he was a samurai or not, I also find is insulting. It's 50. So, but everyone is like 50. More than likely he wasn't. To me, it's 50 more than likely he was. Due to the fact that if I see this dude and the average height of my country is 5'3", 5'4", if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just going off the head. Pause. Average height is way below 6'3". It's told that Yasuke was about 6'3 to 6'5". That's a basketball player. Why would I bring this dude just to carry around my sword and be a caddy? No, Nobunaga was tactical, right? So why wouldn't I say, nah, you're about to be my bodyguard, bro. You're about to be either in here carrying a sword. That's just my way of thinking. I'm thinking more tactical, and to me, it's obvious. But I feel like people are trying to downplay the obvious. You know what I mean? Why would I want this 6'5" brother to be just a sword bearer? Just walk with my stuff, caddy. Nah, that I'm going to utilize him for something. And as far as I know, I did some deep diving. There wasn't much racism. It was more so intrigue because they really hasn't seen a dark-skinned person in their area, but it wasn't like what was going on in Western countries at the time. So that's my thing on it. Originally, I wasn't going to get the game, right? Because I was in support of the whole culture thing, and I do find that it's kind of insulting that Ubisoft went with minority instead of just getting a male samurai protagonist and developing the game around. And it's not being, what do you call it? It's just being slightly culturally accurate, right? So, like, again, I don't have any qualms with any of the individuals or the characters in the game, right? Another thing, I thought they were forcing the whole sexuality thing down our throats. Pause again. But then I did some more deep diving, and I tried to find the earliest article without using Wikipedia, because we all know Wikipedia is trash and tainted, right? And it turns out, here, I'll even read it for you. All right, so this is an article by Tufogu. I think it's a Japanese website. And it talks about the gay, that's the title of it, the gay of the samurai. And I'm going to read a little insert, right? As it turns out, pre-modern Japan was exceptionally accepting, even encouraging of male homosexuality and bisexuality. Much like the times we found out that Bushido is actually modern day made up bullshit. Hey, where's the part? I wanted to understand, it turns out it's completely wrong. Japanese pre-modern society was one that was tolerant of homosexuality and bisexuality, but celebrated and even idolized it. In fact, it appeared to be rule rather than exception. And this wasn't the only thing that I found, right? I went and it turns out that just like how Roman emperors, they had little homosexuality dealings and things like that. Same thing with samurai camps and whatnot. So I was like, oh, it's fairly accurate. Let me brush that to the side. Then I did a deep dive in relevance to like, women shinobi and how minor that was. You know what I mean? So then I said, oh, you know what? This game is not too far off. I played all the other Assassin's Creeds. I actually enjoyed all of them. I'm going to complete all these side quest stuff. So I didn't really have a problem with how long Valhalla was. So I looked at this as another task and another fun game that would keep me busy for a minute. All right. So I caved in and got it. And now that all that crap is out the way, like I said, you can't argue with the fact that the man was written into history. Just think about it. How many samurais do you know? And then think about how many samurais there were, and then how many nameless samurais there are. But the fact that he's not nameless and he's written into your history, you can't fight it. What are we arguing about? Either way, like I said, now that's out there. The game, and it's going to be really quick. The game itself is, let's just start from the beginning. All right, so in the beginning, you start off with Yasusuke's little intro with Yasuke, right? Little intro with Yasuke. I did a deep dive in relevance to Yasuke, and all these people were talking about all these Japanese people were talking about how poor his fighting skills were and how you're not supposed to utilize a sword like that. Well, obviously he wasn't trained on the sword. He was just trained to be a brute. He's swinging the sword around like it's a baseball bat, but he's dismembering people with ease. So I get it. They want it to be more culturally accurate, right? But it's a game. It's fictional. I do understand the point where when the Prime Minister brought up about destroying shrines and all that stuff, and I get it. You don't want that. I remember one of these, what is it, Call of Duty Vanguard? They had a part of the Quran in there that they took out for Islamic people. So I get it. We're respecting cultures. And I think Ubisoft may have patched that. So there's no more destroying shrines. But you start off with Yasuke, and it's just like introductory to like, just brute force. He's busting through doors. They made us big black man. Ubisoft really did us dirty. Every 6 feet, this 6 feet guy was just a brute. Right? And then after that, you play about a good 10 hours of the game with Yahweh. Is that how you say her name? Yahweh? Did I just say like God? No, damn, you know who I'm talking about. You play about 10 hours of the game with her, right? So from there is when it gets dry and tedious, in my opinion. And the story is lackluster. Whereas Valhalla, I was going still in Lords, and that was tedious. This is more so, I don't know. This Ubisoft doesn't know how to put great storyline in there. They just crap on all their storylines. So here you got these two characters, and you couldn't give like intriguing, immersive storyline. The story was just crap. So I really didn't have any immersivity with any of the characters. Or right now, majority. Am I saying her name right? God dang it! How do you pronounce her name? I'm gonna get that for you. Let's get the character. How do you say this? Naoe. And mind you, I've heard it so much in the game. Let's copy this and let Google say it. Paste. How do you say this out loud? No. All right, either way. You spend majority of your time with her before you even get back in the helms of Yasuke. And there was nothing captive or captivating about it. The story was just find this guy, build this territory. And the fact that they even made that building, I thought that building territory part was going to be like a little side dish, but parts of it is main that you have to complete, which was kind of annoying. The story is really not all that great. The fighting mechs about it is typical Assassin's Creed. It comes back to the original when you're fighting with, I don't want to say her name again. Incorrect. God dang it. How do you say it? Let's see.
For just $9.99, try Domino's new Parmesan.
Oh, I gotta watch this commercial first. Let's see. Here we go. Awe. So I wasn't saying it too far off. I was Awe. All right, so fighting, when you're playing with Nawe, you feel like you're playing like Ezio or any of these. She's just not strong though. She's getting bodied. You can't really sneak up until you level her up. You try to do some crazy assassination thing, and they'll catch you by one hand and then fling you somewhere. It's crazy, but it's realistic, and I could appreciate that. You know what I mean? It's like she's what, 5'2", running around trying to stab grown men. You're gonna get caught. You gotta really be sneaky. So she's more of a Splinter Cell-y character, which is kind of really fun to play with her. I actually enjoy playing with her more. I like the whole tactical sneak up type thing. Controls, they're okay. Certain points where they were like unresponsive, especially with the parry. I'll either have to parry too early to get like that the enemy to light up, and then you could counter. But other than that, it is what it is. The story is meh. It's just meh. That's my word. It's just meh. There's nothing to suck you in and to say, damn, this was a really good story. Except for the second part when Yasuke makes his entrance and you get to play with him again, right? That was badass. But other than that, the story, there was no climactic moment to the game for me. It just wasn't there at all. I don't know. The graphics though was good. It was a step up above Ghost of Tsushima, and I love Ghost of Tsushima. But I actually thought that it wasn't, and then I watched this side-by-side comparison from this other dude, where it was showing the physics of Ghost of Tsushima and the physics and water physics of this, and Assassin's Creed actually beat it. And I was surprised, maybe because my eyes was adjusted to the PlayStation 4 back then or whatnot, but I originally thought Ghost of Tsushima looked better, and now I had to take it back. Either way, the story, I gotta give the story, the overall game, it's just not a Ubisoft saver. You know what I mean? The overall game was like 6 out of 10 because I just like the gameplay in general. The whole parkouring everywhere, doing assassination things all over the place. I just like that. But being immersed in it, it just wasn't there for me. I don't know whether was it because all the shit that tainted it for the past year and a half, and going back and forth about this character Yasuke, where it was anticlimactic when the game finally came out. I felt like I played 60 hours of it already by all the media and all the negative press that so it just didn't live up to the hype, or didn't the lack of hype, I think, or it may have hurt it. But I would give it like 6 out of 10. It's something good to do on pastime. Like I said, I'm a completionist, so I'm gonna go to every one of those Eagle Towers and look out. I'm gonna try to collect all these stuff. If you look at my achievements and trophies, you will see I played every Assassin's Creed and completed all of that shit. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this. And I'm not too disappointed in relevance to the type of history it used. I'm also not a Japanese historian, right? So you could take my word for a grain of salt. But the things I did look up, I was like, fine, I'll give it a try. Now I know people are complaining about the things on top of the buildings that are not utilized unless it's a very important building. And I'm like, who is thinking about that? Who is thinking? And are we just nitpicking? And because of these little nitpicks, it makes me think that they're just hiding their prejudice. They're just, hey, that building is supposed to be green and not red. Stupid black guy in the game. Is that what's going on? Nobody wants to say what's on their mind out loud. But it is what it is. 6 out of 10 for me. And I'm going to finish it. And I'll give you guys an ending review. Or maybe not. Because that's pretty much it, bro. All that's left is, let's say, whether the story picked up or not. And right now, it's very lackluster. So maybe I won't. It's probably going to stay at this intermediate review. I'm tired of talking about Assassin's Creed. I'm tired of watching people talk about Assassin's Creed. I'm tired of hearing about I just want to play the game and finish it now. But I'm off. Peace.